Hey everyone, today we have the full Skeleton Crew wave of figures in. I got these on eBay because a lot of people have been finding these at Walmart and GameStops around the country. The first one in the wave is Jod Na Nawad, terrible name, but so is Jar Jar Binks and lots of other names that we've gotten used to over time. This is of course Jude Law's character, and he comes with a scarf similar to what Jyn Erso had. Second in the wave is Neil from Adin. I guess that is the planet that they start on because it seems like all of these outfits match what we see in the trailer from their home planet. Next we have Wim, who seems to be probably the main character just based on what I could tell from the trailers. The box art on these have gotten really nice looking. I hope these are actual artists doing these. This is Fern, which doesn't have the subtitle of Adin, even though we see her in the trailer in this outfit, so I don't really know what they're doing. Maybe these characters have different looks later on, which is why some of them are designated with specific planet names. Next we have KB, also from Adin. She is the Lobot of the group. We'll take a look in a minute and see if there's any detail under that visor. And then we have the figure that took the internet by storm when it was leaked, which is Pirate Captain Brutus from Port Borgo. We don't really know much about this guy other than that he is the same species as one of the characters that we saw in the Cantina. And I know a lot of people have said that this figure, whether or not they like the show, is going to go in their Cantina display. However, I do think that it's going to be one of those cases where, because we don't know anything about him now, it's very easy to picture him as just a background alien, but I think once the show goes on and we know a lot more about him, it'll be a little distracting to have him mixed in with an original trilogy crew. However, you could always use that head sculpt on a spare body and make it custom of another alien of his species. So I went ahead and got all of these unboxed ahead of time. I have them in order that matches their box numbers, and we're just going to go one by one here and take a look at each figure. My first impressions are that these are all really well done. They have nice matte finishes on them. The paint is incredible. All of the likenesses are really good. I've seen some people's version of Jod online that don't look as good. He looks a little bit like he's having an allergic reaction in some. I felt like the face printing on mine was really good, so definitely if you're picking this up in the store, take a close look at the face before you check out. He even has paint here on his legs, which are inside the trench coat, these little stripes here. This is just one of those cases of new media figures getting so much attention, but then we get iconic characters like Pre Vizsla that just feel a little bit rushed. The scarf does a pretty good job of staying on. You don't get much head movement obviously with it there, and his neck feels a tiny bit long without it, but overall it's definitely a good looking figure, lots of detail. He has a unique sculpt for his pistol here, which fits perfectly into the holster around his hip, which is a separate sculpted piece that is just kind of sitting there. And we have all of this nice gold frilly detail on his pockets and his cuffs, and it's so nice to see that level of detail on a figure. I hope this continues on all figures moving forward, but again, it's just kind of this bittersweet thing when you don't see that level of detail applied to more legacy characters. If you want a more detailed look at Neil here, as well as kind of the articulation on all of these figures, check out my individual review. But here we have the little blue guy himself, not the same species as Max Rebo as we initially suspected. This is the only figure that I feel like doesn't match the show very well, in the sense that in all of the trailers, his outfit looks way more washed out. His shirt looks a bit more beige rather than this bright orange. The amount of accessories that these come with are great for just varying up the poses on the shelf. You've got 4 kids that all come with flashlights, but he has his little binoculars here. 2 of the figures have walkie-talkies, so you can kind of mix and match. And most of the characters have storage in their backpacks, so you can store the additional accessories when not using them. Now there's one issue that I've seen on this figure, and this is my second one of this figure. Do you see that little nick on his ear there? In order to do the gradient on the face, they cast this in like a peach color and then went and sprayed the paint over top, but on both of the ones that I have, that paint is fading away in certain spots. I don't know if this is from being in the plastic or being dropped or what, but definitely be careful with this figure. Check the paint before you bring it home, and then just be careful not to drop it or let anything kind of mess with the face there, or else that paint will rub. Next we have Wim here with a lot of detail on his jacket. He's got some patches. He has the same walkie-talkie sculpt as Neil. He's got the blue shirt here overlapping that brown shirt, which is actually just one piece attached to the hips. Just like the other figures, some cool detail going on the backpack here, some nice paint work. These accessories are not removable. It looks like some sandbox toys, like the claw and the shovel. It's got storage for his flashlight here, as well as a little tool. I don't know what this is for, but maybe we'll find out in the show. Those both store nicely in here, so you don't have to worry about those getting lost. And then a slightly different paint job on might be a different flashlight here. Again, I'm sorry about the focus in this video. The new iPhone and the software that I use to record Walmart have not really caught up with each other yet. This next character I think is one of Whim's classmates according to what I've seen in the trailer. I don't have much to say about this character because I don't know anything, but the amount of patches and paint detail on her jacket is really nice. We've got thigh swivel on most of the kids, which is kind of crazy to see. A little surprising, but I guess with that limited articulation, you wouldn't... I don't know. I don't know why they included it here. Again, really nice face printing with the matte finish. Just all of these look so nice. They look even more glossy in the video because I have just one small light source, which tends to create more reflections, but just on my shelf, they look really matte and nice. The little pop of yellow for her flashlight is really cool, and then she's got this little braid hanging off the side of her head that just kind of stays put. It doesn't really move. There's something really satisfying about getting a full wave of figures, and there's something nostalgic to me about getting a bunch of figures before a show actually comes out. It just reminds me of being a kid, picking up some of the figures from like Attack of the Clones and just being excited to find out about the characters. Such as KB here with some more yellow. There's definitely lots of little pops of yellow in this show. It's same with like the red and the orange. We've got thigh swivel on her again, and she's a little bit taller than a lot of other characters, and I think this body is going to be really handy for customs. No paint on the eyes here. I guess she probably won't be taking this off at all in the show. She's got a little blue streak in her hair, which is kind of hard to see, but there it is, along with a little height comparison. Yeah, I don't have any customs in mind yet, but I think that those legs and arms are going to be really useful for customs in the future. And finally, we can now look at Brutus, who is the one you are all probably here to see. He comes with 5 uniquely sculpted pistols, which is pretty crazy to see. And of course, he is the same species as that Cantina alien, so I think we will be getting a lot of use out of this head in our Cantina dioramas. And I did my best to match each weapon to each holster based on how it looked on the package, so feel free to use this as reference for which weapons go where. This does have a feature that I usually don't really love on Black Series figures, which is the little strap for the holster with a little hole to peg it in, and it just doesn't really work. It doesn't really sit in there, and it just keeps popping out, so I might clip that off. And the final weapon is on the back here. He's taking no chances, and he really wants you to know what he is all about. Lots of paint on the robes here, like the skirt, and on his arms. Pretty cool to see. And the wrists are actually on little ball joints, but because they're so inset, there's not that much movement there, so it's not like the ball joint just gives you unlimited movement, but they are there, which is always nice. I'm curious to see how these sell, because this show has a lot more anticipation for it, I think, than the oh wait, what's he doing in there? The show does have a lot more excitement around it than the Acolyte did, and those figures still seem to sell. Like, I don't see those on deep discount yet, and I also have not seen any of them in stores for a while, so I guess they sold. Let me know in the comments below if you're going to be picking up any of these. I feel like Neil and Brutus will be the best sellers, but I'm interested to see not only how the show is received, but how these figures end up doing. I have more Black Series figures already in my home that I have not reviewed yet that are coming very soon, so subscribe if you are new so you can see those as soon as they go live. As always, thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.